One man, one van, and two cats. Pure awesomeness. I also travel with my two partners who each have their own cat. We're full-time nomads and travel all over the country. Check out my adventures with my crew of felines and humans as we live rent-free, explore, and generally just have a great time. You're invited. I hope you come along because you're guaranteed to enjoy the ride. So sit back, hang tight, and don't forget to buckle up. Hey guys, it's Kai here, back with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about a very serious and important topic, in my opinion. It is pretty much maybe not the number one most asked or said thing to us, but it is probably the most thought thing that people think when they see me, see my partners, Coda and Chloe, see us doing, the van life. A lot of people, I think, are thought bubble thinking, are they homeless? Are those homeless people? Or they're homeless, aren't they? Stuff like that. So I decided it was time for the video that is the alpha and the omega video when it comes to that million-dollar question. What's going on with the living in a van thing? What's going on with living in your vehicle? So let's get right into it because there's a lot to say. And before I do, first I compiled some information that, you guys will hopefully find insightful and useful. But before I start, I want to point something out is us nomads who are very proud to do van life, or any kind of vehicular life. Well, I call it VL, vehicular life, van life, same thing, mostly. We are mostly all very proud of it, but I'll get more into detail what I mean by mostly in a second. But I do want to point out that it is not homeless, it is houseless. Technically, it's houseless, especially if you do van life by choice like we do. So me, my partners, Coda and Chloe, all three of us choose to live on the road, live in our vehicles, be a vehicle dweller, van lifer, nomad, etc. And we love it. We wouldn't have it any other way. Like, I could never go back to paying rent, being a slave to some property manager, leasing office manager, landlord, yada, 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 head roommate, oh God. You get the idea. I could never go back to that. I mean, you're paying for four walls and a roof that basically you're a slave to paying this huge amount, having to deal with all kinds of crap. But you don't really need to, right? It's the land of the free. Well, mostly. So you can kind of do what you want to do. Again, mostly. So politics aside, let's get into those that choose to do voluntary van life. What does that mean? Voluntary versus homeless, vehicular homelessness. So yeah, we consider ourselves houseless, not homeless, houseless, because this is not a house, this is a vehicle. But with no further ado, I just wanted to point that out. Let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to point out is if you are experiencing vehicular homelessness, you are probably not trying currently to explore the US and go on any, road trips. You're probably not feeling a need to see everything there is to see and go sightseeing, right? So that's the first thing I wanted to kind of show a difference of is us van lifers that do voluntary van life. It is completely a part of the experience is to see new places, to travel, to go on road trips. I mean, the whole thing is a road trip, really. Just see the world, and by world, I mean the giant country. You could go to Canada, you could go to Mexico. I even figured out that you can drive to South America, but anyway, we'll have to talk about that in a different video. But anyway, so yeah, it's a big part of, especially for us three, us van lifers, me and my two partners, we really like exploring. We like looking for cool cities in the US that we enjoy. We like seeing nature's wonders and natural, just really awesome spectacles, out in the woods or out in the mountains and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're vehicular homeless, this is my first point. You're dealing with some stuff right now and going on a road trip, going on a sightseeing trip, going to travel around the country is probably the least of your concerns. You're probably worried about money and just trying to get out of the rut you're in, so you're having to stay in your vehicle. So that's obviously not us. And also, gas prices are not cheap. I mean, in some places they're cheaper than others. Don't go to LA, by the way. They're insanely expensive, just FYI. We've experienced that. I mean, we're talking 3-4 times what it is in other parts of the country. But anyway, if you are vehicular homeless right now, chances are money might be tight and you're not trying to shell out a lot for gas and driving all over the country. So just to point that out too. So moving on to the next point, you know, there's a lot of laws here in the US. A lot, right? I mean, you could literally go from town to town. I mean, as you're driving, within 20 minutes, you could have gone through 3, 4, 5, 6 different towns, jurisdictions, municipalities, yada, yada, yada. There's going to be all kinds of new laws that maybe the one before didn't have or the one next has. So a lot of laws. Some of us really like freedom. I'm one of them. You know, I really like to feel free. I really like to have freedom, exercise my rights and my freedoms. So doing that, you feel very free, right? You feel as free as you can feel, basically. So if you're experiencing vehicular homelessness, you're probably feeling the opposite of free. You're dealing with whatever it is you're dealing with, usually monetarily. You might not just have any money right now, or funds might be really low. There's a high probability that that's the situation. So you're feeling restricted to your vehicle. You're like, I don't really have anywhere to stay right now, but at least I have my vehicle, my car, my SUV or whatnot. So that's going to be a big difference between those that do voluntary van life. So yeah, feeling like you have no choice but to reside in your vehicle currently is kind of the opposite of free. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We love feeling free. That's kind of the main thing for us, is freedom. So on to the next point. If you're vehicular homeless, you're probably trying to earn back money so that you can move back into your place or get a new place or afford the 4 walls and the roof, sort of thing. But it's actually the opposite with doing van life. In van life, you don't want to pay rent anymore. You're like, why pay this crazy inflated rent? Ask anyone in the housing business, maybe go ask your leasing office manager at your apartments, or research, you know, some of this information. That, as it turns out, in the United States, the cost of living is going up, rent's going up, but the quality of life is going down. So us van lifers, especially, you know, I can't speak for all van lifers, with me and my partners, those of us who do it voluntarily for the most part, probably love not paying rent. That's a big incentive of doing van life. So yeah, if you're vehicular homeless right now, you are probably trying to make money so you can move back into the place that you were staying or get a new place. And that's going to be a major difference, of course, between voluntary van life and, you know, you have no choice but to be in your vehicle right now. But I'd say about 50-50. Maybe the other half is in a rut. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and living in their vehicle is what they need to do right now. So I just wanted to point that out. I'd say maybe around 50-50 odds of which one is it. On to the next point. If you are vehicular homeless, you might have a minimalist, monastic, kind of like a Buddhist philosophical outlook on life. Sure, that's very possible. But more often than not, in my experience, I've seen that people experiencing that are usually not necessarily that way. It seems like more so, again, they're trying to make money so they can get back into the swing of things of their life. They might just be kind of at a low point right now where staying in their vehicle is, you know, what they have to do. And being minimalistic, not having a lot of possessions, stuff like that, that's just kind of how the cards fall right now, but it's not necessarily how they are, is what I've seen. Those who do voluntary van life, like us, I think a lot of people who live in a tiny home situation really like having less stuff. Now, I'm a little bit of an exception to that. I really like my stuff. But I mean, in comparison to what's in a full-size house, I have a small fraction of that stuff, obviously. But, you know, nonetheless, a lot of van lifers, I think, do have the less is more kind of mentality, or not wanting to be like a slave to their possessions mentality. And we're more so that way, of course. Chloe and Coda, probably more than me. But anyway, enough making fun of myself, but it's just true. I call things like it is, and it's just true. The next point is, I think I speak for basically all people that do voluntary van life, is they have a sense of adventure. I have a sense of adventure. Chloe, Coda, they have big senses of adventure. We really like not necessarily living on the wild side. It's not like we're constantly taking risks and playing Russian roulette and just trying to fall into harm's way, but we definitely like to live life to the fullest, you know what I mean? Like, we're not gonna hide behind some comfort zone, basically, in order to feel just constantly safe and secure, and oh my god, we're so scared. Like, no, I mean, we want to live life. We want to go out there and see what there is to see. So, if you're in a vehicular homeless situation, adventurous, living life to the fullest, living on the wild side, taking some risks, is that at the top of your priority list? Probably not. So a lot of people that are vehicular homeless, maybe they are adventurous. Maybe they like to go on cool trips or go camping or hiking or whatnot. But again, that's the least of your concerns. You're really just kind of, I'm having to deal with this crap right now, right? I'm having to live in my vehicle. This sucks. It couldn't get any worse, right? Is what they're probably thinking. And that's understandable, because if you're in that situation, you didn't choose to do van life, you didn't choose to do VL, yeah, you're probably not very happy with your set of circumstances right now. But again, I think I speak for basically all voluntary van life people, is we love adventure. So that's just a part of the whole enchilada, Moving right along, if you, again, are in a vehicular homeless situation, you probably are not necessarily nomadic. Chances are, in fact, you're trying to continue living in the town or the county or the city or state that you currently live in. And the only reason you're not currently living in your residence is because you've fallen on some kind of hard times. Van lifers like myself, my partners, we are very nomadic. We have this strong feeling to travel, to explore, to go back to a former point. My van is even named Sojourner, obviously. So yeah, a lot of voluntary van lifers really have this travel bug. We feel like we got to keep moving, and to go back to that first point, yes, we want to see the whole country. We want to see what there is to see and meet new people and, travel and meet people like you, So yeah, if you're in that situation again, you're stuck in a rut, you're probably not nomadic. You're probably like, this sucks. I want to go back to my apartment or house, and everyone's different, to each their own, of course. So yeah, I just wanted to point out the difference there. And moving on to a new point, and this one's kind of interesting. If you are homeless right now, living in your vehicle, you probably see the weather as just the weather, Say you live in Houston, Texas, it's hot, it's humid a lot of the time, and that's just the weather. That's your home city, that's where you live, you got to deal with it. Say you live in Bozeman, Montana, it's usually or often very cold, really cold winters, snowing, icy, and you're just like, yeah, this is a part of life. This is what I deal with, and we get a few months where it's not that cold. But again, you're in a vehicular homeless situation where you just deal with it, right? That's your home, that's what you're used to, and open shut case. Voluntary van lifers like us, we love the fact that we can just bail when the weather's bad. If it's about to be really hot, or the place we live in gets really hot or really cold, we're like, it's time to go. We like a lot of the places in Arizona. I'll have to do a whole bunch of videos on that. There's a lot of our favorite places there. And I think a lot of you van lifers that are watching already know maybe some of the places I'm talking about in Arizona. But anyway, Arizona gets like the devil's butthole. I mean, it gets hot, right? It is really uncomfortably hot. I mean, we're talking triple digits, 110, 115 or more in the summer. So you just leave, you don't have to stay. And that's great. Your entire home is on wheels, you're mobile. Again, if you're stuck in a rut and you're doing, vehicular homelessness sort of situation, you're probably not even thinking about how, wait a minute, this is awesome. I could just live in my vehicle and I could just go anywhere I want. I could dodge the hurricane that's about to hit the coast, or I could dodge this crazy cold weather, crazy hot weather, etc. So of course, some things you can't dodge. I mean, if there's a random really bad thunderstorm, you're probably already in a place, and we've dodged some storms before. We've gotten the heck out of Dodge, and the storm was literally chasing us. I mean, it's right on our heels, nipping at them. But for the most part, something like a tornado, an earthquake, bad thunderstorm, hail. I mean, yeah, no one's invincible. No one can outrun everything. I mean, sometimes you might get caught, but I just wanted to point that out. That's an interesting point if you think about it, and something really awesome about doing van life voluntarily. So moving on, if you are in a vehicular homeless situation, this is going to sound like kind of like a recurring theme at this point. you're gonna hear a lot of things are like, oh yeah, that's related to those other points, is, you know, what about your neighbors? You might be really disgruntled on the fact that you're having to live in your vehicle and you want to get back to living with the neighbors, you know, your former neighbors, or new neighbors you're going to be stuck with, just to be honest. If you're doing voluntary van life like we do, we realize and recognize that something that is awesome is you can just like the weather, you can move away. If you don't like your neighbors, you just leave. If you're parked even near other van lifers that you're like, I don't know about those people or that person, you can just leave, you know? And that's, again, something that's great. Obviously, we've all had an apartment, we've all had a house. We know what it's like. That's sometimes you really don't like your neighbors. You really don't want to be stuck with your neighbors. You're like, man, if I hear one more blasting music session for the next few hours, or if I hear one more screaming session or one more this or one more that, I'm gonna like lose it. Doing van life voluntarily, you just leave, and we love that, of course. Who wouldn't, right? If you know, kind of see from that perspective. And again, you know, vehicular homelessness, you're probably not even thinking about that. Okay, so it's time for the last point of the video, and this is really the most difficult point to have to talk about because it is just a sad state of affairs, and it's a harsh reality, and I'm going to go ahead and just, you know, have to go ahead and talk about it. This last point is there are those that are dealing with vehicular homelessness, and they're dealing with it because their finances and resources and money situation is so bad. And why that is often because they have substance abuse issues. As I'm sure all of you watching know, there's currently a methamphetamine epidemic, an opioid and opiate epidemic, and I'm sure other substance epidemics right now. I'd have to go and find a whole list of them. But there's a lot of substance abuse problems right now in our country and probably in most of the world, depending where you look, but you know, probably the majority of the world is dealing with that to some extent. So I've seen firsthand people that appear to be dwelling in their vehicle that, you know, had clear substance abuse issues. Maybe I'll save that for different videos or something like that, but I've definitely seen it. It's not pleasant, and I hate having to point this out as the last point, but it's such an important point to mention because I think so many people just assume when they see, you know, me or my partners, they see my van looks pretty eccentric and wild, or they see that we're living in our vehicles, you know, I think it's easy to make the jump. You go, oh, well, clearly they are drug addicts, you know, they must be using substances or owing a lot of money to somebody for substances or going through it, or, you know, etc. But as it turns out, voluntary van life, if you think about it, you're choosing to travel, you're choosing to pay for the gas, you're choosing to go all over the country, switch out the tires, maintenance on the vehicle, keep everything legal and up to date, insurance, registration, yada, yada, yada. So if you think about it, it's, you know, it would be, I think, impossible to have a severe drug addiction yet be able to keep everything so tip-top shape and be traveling so much, you know. So we really like those that come up to us and say, hey, cool van. I literally had somebody 30 minutes ago before I started filming this, when I parked, they were like, it was this guy, he was like, hey man, cool van. And you know, maybe he took note of the name of my channel on the side of my van, and maybe said, guy, maybe you're watching right now, and if so, thanks man. I shouted that to you, and I'm sure you heard me, but now I'm calling you out on the entire video. Thanks for the positive words. It made my night, you know, a little bit brighter. Because of course there are those that see van lifers and they go, oh, they must be this, they must be that. Clearly they're, you know, drug addict or criminal or homeless or this and that. And it's important to know the difference. It's important to know that a lot of us nomads and van lifers really just love doing van life. We love being on the road. We love our country. You know, we love to see our country, you know. If you're a true patriot, you got to get out there and see your country. I'm just kidding. But, you know, right? I mean, I'm sure those who are watching, if you really love nature, you love all the country has to offer, you would agree that then you should probably go out there and see it, right? Or at least if you're not able to travel, you'd probably be watching travel videos, watching nature videos, and wanting to at least experience it, you know, through that. But yeah, we definitely love the mountains. We love the desert. I mean, we love the forest. I mean, even the jungle, but I know there's not much of that here. But we definitely love everything that we can see, that we can possibly see while doing van life. And so yeah, that's my final point I wanted to make. And it's such a big point because it's like an overarching one, is when you see the traveler, when you see the van lifer, you know, you should never try to judge somebody preemptively, prematurely, or prejudge them, prejudice, etc. But you can definitely look for the current evidence. You know, I mean, if they are struggling from substance abuse, that's horrible, and I hope they get the help that they need. Or if they're just doing a involuntary situation, they're homeless, having to stay in their vehicle, that's also really unfortunate. And I would hope that their situation improves for them. But you can also see, oh, wait a minute, some van lifers are doing the voluntary van life, like my partners and I. So at the risk of beating a dead horse, I really like to emphasize that and kind of set the record straight. You know, I think any van lifers who are watching might appreciate this video and go like, thank you, yes, somebody explained it in a very black and white, straightforward, no nonsense way, that there's definitely a major difference of two different types of people. You know, they want to be living in their vehicle or they don't want to be living in their vehicle. So yeah, guys, that's basically everything I wanted to say. I hope this video maybe shed some light whenever you think about, why do people live in their vehicles? Are they crazy? Are they homeless? I mean, I'm crazy. My partner's not so much, but I'm crazy. They can be, but I'm totally crazy. So yeah, some of us are crazy, sure. But those that are doing voluntary van life really just love to do it. And we love the road, we love to travel, we love to meet people, we love to see nature and see the country and ideally the world. That's maybe save that for sailboat life later. But anyway, guys, that's everything I have for you on this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you guys think about everything I said, and maybe if you have your own thoughts on van life or some questions on why would anyone choose to live in such a small space like this and choose to appear to be, a homeless person, why would they want to do that? Ask me in the comments below. I would love to answer any of your questions or respond to any of y'all's comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on the notifications. And yeah, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, I like to end on some kind and wise parting words. Do no harm, always do good, and never stop thinking for y'all selves. Until next time, I will see y'all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.